this is Higley doing another video. I'm just sorting out my drive, and it's a bit misty and I'm in a funny spot. There we go. That's fine, it's quite dark around here. My nighttime rendezvous. Yeah, just as I usually do, a little bit of just a little bit of I don't know, bit of yes, visitation. Let's put it that way. Just need to visit somebody who's a bit vulnerable. So I thought I'd check on them. You know, do your good thing, do your good deed. Okay. I was going to talk about today is really about I guess there's a few important things to talk about. There's some big changes coming. It's possible that this that a lot of this odd weather. Now there's a whole combinations of things that are going on. I believe that HAARP's being used to try to control some of the changes that are actually going on the planet at the moment, and the sort of issues we've got at the moment. You've got the hurricanes, you get sinkholes, you get earthquakes. I think there's going to be some big volcanic activity at some point. But I think for Yellowstone, there's going to be signs before anything happens, like lakes start to boil and stuff like that, and the animals will absolutely crap themselves and get out of the park. So they won't be hanging around. There won't be bears sat on the like they advertise. You know, come to Yellowstone. This bear doesn't realise there's a massive volcano underneath him. Oh yeah, he knows there's a volcano there, but he also knows it's not going to do anything at the moment. So he's not worried. It'll likely just squirt out the side. There's a lot of weight, and it's just, I think it's probably worked its way sideways. So we'll just have to see what happens. Maybe Trump will have his wall of lava just squirt up out of there. So the other thing is a pole shift. So if there was a kind of disturbance, so we might not go through a full pole shift. So we shouldn't worry about maybe, you know, the planet's half dead, and then suddenly it has to, it sort of goes into some sort of magnetic apocalypse or something, and then it spins around at about a million miles an hour or something, and flips the top to the bottom, or whatever people think might happen. I mean, I don't know. All we know is that's based on facts, that the North Pole seems to be moving. It moves 30 miles a day, they say, and it maybe it goes, and then this thing is, they've got this like a galactic spiral. So there's it's a slight wobble to its axis anyway, so that's normal. So it's not, you know, 30 miles that way is possibly just a part of the big wobble, but the wobble might get wider than normal, so it might be like a spinning top. You know, a spinning top starts coming off its axis a bit. So that's kind of suggests about some sort of celestial strings, and maybe it's you know, almost like the tracks of the universe. So the planet has an orbit. It's not random. It pretty much sticks to this path anyway, so it's not going wider or anything like that. And there's a kind of a gyrospherical nature to the universe, and it keeps order as well. There's a synchronicity to what happens as well. Otherwise we wouldn't have been using stars for all these navigational points and stuff like that. And it also explains why these points of references come back to being the same points of references, due to having a pattern they follow. That's because there's a consciousness behind everything, and this, I mean, stuff I come up, I've concluded. I'm just going to say, right, well, let's stick with these conclusions. Not because I'm narrow-minded, because I've probably done so much research, I don't need to convince myself of another theory. That's one element. We've got this Planet X thing, and also with these wobbles that would sort of accelerate. They can accelerate a hurricane or have an influence anyway. It could weaken it as well. You know, it depends on the time, the actual time it occurs. The hurricane, it spins around in a particular direction. It's like a bowl of water. If you've kind of twirled it, and then you can move it, you can slosh it, and you can accelerate that movement. I'd imagine in the sea there's also equally like whirlpools and all sorts of things in the water. I mean, that would be interesting to have a sort of Navy perspective of what's going on in the sea, because it's not really talked about. I mean, you're seeing all these sort of fishes that are washing up on beaches and whales. I mean, I know they've used in sort of sonar, weaponized sonar, different sort of energy weapons, because this is the nature of their sort of, you know, we've got to sort of dominate at every level and play out that there's lots of different sides when actually it's just an illusion, and there's only really one primal dominant force that want to root itself in every position and dominate humanity. Which this force, whatever it is, seems to be quite different in that it's very focused on a certain way of thinking. It doesn't want freedom of spirituality and things like that. It has to all be concise and boxed. And it doesn't like things that don't fit into these narratives, but that's see, the world may have this nature about it. Ooh, it's on the roundabout. Oh, there's loads of traffic going. Basically, it was all turning right, and it was blocking off the car for coming my way. But the problem is when they're indicating right, I can't tell if they want to go right and all the way around the roundabout right, because they just carry on indicating, even when they come off the roundabout, which isn't helpful. So, where are we going with my conversation? So there's an intelligence behind the universe. That's definitely true. I'm not going to speculate how it fits in. You can kind of feel something. I mean, if you're getting more spiritual, you'll have these feelings inside, like you connected things. Like I was listening to some didgeridoo. I can tell when music's really, really good. I get this sort of like buzz in my pineal, and I'm getting loads of dopamine released in my brain. So I can feel these like warm, you know, if you had a massage like your trapezium muscles, you may get this sort of release of energy or tension. Well, that's what it is, combined with a sort of pleasure inducement. So that's how it works with my biology. That I get a sort of wave of energy that go up my spine. And then it sort of seems to go around the scalp muscles and so on. It almost gives me the sensation that possibly it's in my brain. Someone will say, well, you can't feel anything in your brain, but then again, if I'm also energetically based, then you can go beyond that. So, the reality appears to be a simulator, but it shouldn't be overlooked by human standards. And this is say it's like some kind of computer game, and you know, don't sort of let's not lose value on what it means. It's a bit like my body. My body's quite unique, and people shouldn't get to this perception of that they've got this higher self and it's just piloting this skin suit. I think that's disgusting reference. You've got a piece of art here. Do you want to just refer to it as a slab of meat? You know, it's not quite what we're looking for. It's actually what makes you who you are. So you also don't know. Let's just go for it. Well, you don't know if this is your first life, your second life, all these sorts of things. You might be where you're an older soul. This may come to you at a later date when you kind of open up more. You open up different levels. And it's this spiritual knowledge becomes available to you when it's right. So you might have to relearn the lessons first or get a different perspective, and then you can say, well, it isn't going to spoil his experience if he has access to some higher knowledge, because he's already past a certain level. So life is regulated by all sorts of things. I had an angel experience actually recently. That's quite interesting. I was thinking about angels, and I was kind of annoyed. I was annoyed because I wasn't too sure what was happening at night, so it was creeping me out a bit, and I was thinking, is it a mouse? But the only thing is, I put a mouse trap. So I heard this thing where my freezer is. It sort of like, was the gas? So we know what's going on. No. Oh yeah, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, because you can snap your trailer. Yeah, so I didn't know if it was like if it was a sort of the gas in the freezer, and I thought, well, maybe it's some scurrying or something, some noise. But I put a mouse trap. Nothing's gone into it. Nothing's gone into it. It's right next to it. So it's either this thing doesn't eat salami or whatever I put on the trap. But it's all gone quiet as well. Well, it's gone fairly quiet. I'm still getting some residual stuff going on, but I think basically I've got something that's in there that's not. It's more interdimensional. So I think it's like I've got like a gnome or something weird like that. I shouldn't say something. Well, I'm not nowhere near the flat, but I've definitely got something seems to be following me around, and some other beings as well. So it's fascinating. So yeah, so that's one thing, and I'll just come back to the angel. I'll cover that stuff quickly. Is that I was kind of annoyed when I was spiritual presence, and I got this thing in my head. We're trying to help you ascend to some level or increase your level, basically. And so I thought, oh, fine. So I went to takeaway, and I felt really good about myself for some reason. Maybe it's because I've heard that, or whatever reason. Just make sure I'm lining up okay. Yeah, we're going to a blank space because somebody's car. Yeah, so it's yeah, he's got to get your angles right and take it all slow. So I went to takeaway, got a takeaway. I was just walking around a corner, and a feather popped down. Feather come down from the sky, and basically, so I caught this little feather, and then the next day I started watching some TV program. It was an angel whisperer, and he basically said it's like a calling card, the feather. And I just thought it was very strange, the synchronicity of that occurring a day before watching a show that actually mentions that. So that's just interesting stuff. Anyway, I will see you and speak to you soon.